Mike, check. Justin Hunt, it's all happening. Thank you to everybody rocking with the channel. Thank you to everybody subscribe to the channel, share the video, share the link. It's priceless. Big thank you to everyone who's donated. If you'd like to donate, get the Cash App right there or the link in the description is the best way to support this channel. You get videos early. I'm also starting, my plan is to start daily lives on Monday. Okay. I did a live episode of what I'm calling the Company Man Show last week. Thank you to everyone who supported. 1 second, applause. There we go. And so I'll be doing that daily next week, Monday through Thursday next week, since it is a holiday. And what that's going to do is free me up time on the weekends, or at least Thursday and Friday, to start having more think pieces. So 1 second, applause to that. And big shout out to everyone over in the Discord. 9 second applause to you all. Now, okay. Now I have not covered Mamdani since he actually won and became New York City mayor. 1 second, applause. To Mayor Mamdani, he blew out Andrew Cuomo, blew out Silva. The debates were hilarious, straight comedy, but this is significant because Mamdani is a democratic socialist, meaning he's more aligned with Bernie Sanders and AOC than either the red team or the blue team. And not to mention the fact that he is a Muslim, Indian, Ugandan mayor in the city that had 9/11, right? And so you can see how everything about him has been a political lightning rod in one way or the other, from his politics to his identity. And he navigated that election something serious. I mean, he was like Quicksilver moving around these old farts over here with these old ideas and these bad policies. And so he won on a democratic socialist platform, talking about free grocery stores, or government-sponsored grocery stores, rather, talking about free buses, and just really a policy platform that includes all citizens and not just corporate citizens or wealthy citizens. And you can imagine, you have a democratic socialist running for the mayor of New York City, who wins the mayor of New York City, and you have President Donald Trump, who is from New York City, and advocates, largely speaking, for the opposite types of policies as what Mamdani ran on. Now, there are some overlaps between the two from a policy standpoint, or at least from a messaging standpoint, we'll say that. Donald Trump won a considerable amount of the vote because he talked about grocery prices. Well, Mamdani's entire platform is about affordability. When Bernie Sanders was leading, actually, the Democratic pack for president in 2016 before some smoky room backdoor maneuvering sort of ushered him out of the pole position back in 2016, and I'd argue again in 2020. A lot of voters both supported Bernie Sanders and Trump for the same reason. Here are two outsiders. People are ready for a change. People are ready for something different than the uniparty, as it feels oftentimes. And so there is a very working class portion of Trump's base. And so Mamdani won in New York City it was a blowout. It wasn't even close. So he had a plurality, and it was all about affordability. And so today, everybody was waiting for this day. Today, Mayor Mamdani visited the White House and sat down with President Trump for a meeting. And then they had a press conference afterwards. And the entire right, the whole red team, was ready for Trump to destroy this guy. The red team is trying to make Mamdani the face of the entire Democratic Party. They're trying to do their best to show that this guy's a jihadist. He is down with 9/11. He is down with Osama bin Laden. Look at him. He's Ugandan. He's everything other than American. And they've been working very diligently to use him as a lightning rod when it comes to the upcoming midterms in 2026. Okay. The red team wants to make him a villain. And this press conference did not go that way. So we're going to take a look at this. We're going to react to it. It's about 20 minutes. I'm going to run it on 1.25. But check this out. Check this out. And I'll break down what I see as we come across different things.
Well, thank you very much. We've just had a great meeting, a really good, very productive meeting. We have one thing in common. We want this city of ours that we love to do very well. And I wanted to congratulate the mayor. He really ran an incredible race against, a lot of smart people.
Starting off nicer than I think a lot of people expected and hoped Trump to be. With the Democratic Socialist of American mayor of New York City. 1 second, applause.
Starting with the early primaries against some very tough people, very smart people. And he beat him easily, and I congratulated him. and we talked about some things in very strong common, like housing and getting housing built, and food and prices, and the price of oil is coming way down. Anything I do is going to be good for New York. If I can get prices down, it's good for New York, and we've got them down, way down from last year. We have, as you know, I've been saying to a lot of people, Walmart said that Thanksgiving this year is exactly 25% less than last year, so that's good for New York, good for everybody. But I just want to congratulate. I think you're going to have, hopefully, a really great mayor. The better he does.
Look at this. Look at this. Trump, man. Trump's words are bullets. He is sharp, savvy, and funny when he decides to attack someone. But when he really appreciates someone, or at least respects someone, he will lavish praise on them. I mean, it makes sense from an underdog standpoint. Trump was an underdog when he first ran for president in 2016. Mamdani started at 1% on his way to the mayorship, I think it's called, in New York City. And he is someone who has defied the odds as well. So perhaps that's what he sees in him. But this man, I'm with it. 1 second applause.
The happier I am, I will say. There's no difference in party. There's no difference in anything. And we're going to be helping him to make everybody's dream come true, having a strong and very safe New York. And congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Please.
I appreciated the meeting with the president, and as he said, it was a productive meeting focused on a place of shared admiration and love, which is New York City, and the need to deliver affordability to New Yorkers, the 8.5 million people who call our city their home, who are struggling to afford life in the most expensive city in the United States of America. We spoke about rent, we spoke about groceries, we spoke about utilities, we spoke about the different ways in which people are being pushed out, and I appreciated the time with the president. I appreciated the conversation. I look forward to working together to deliver that affordability for New Yorkers.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
President Trump, Stephen Nelson from the New York Post. I have a question for you, and then also one for Mayor-elect.
Sure.
For you, you referred to Mr. Mamdani as a communist. Can you describe why you feel that way? And also, will you do anything to stop him from arresting Prime Minister Netanyahu if he visits New York?
Well, we didn't discuss your second part of the question. And on your first part, I mean, he's got views that...
So the second part of the question was whether Mamdani would arrest Benjamin Netanyahu, president of Israel.
Tomato.
If he had the opportunity in New York. There is a warrant for Netanyahu's arrest by the, I believe it's the UN, I think it's the UN, one international governing body for his war crimes in the genocide in Palestine. So Trump said, oh, we didn't talk about that, but we talked about the other stuff, the affordability stuff, the American First stuff. 1 second applause.
Out there, but who knows? I mean, we're going to see what works, or he's going to change also. We all change. I changed a lot from when I first came to office. It's now quite a while ago. It's quite a while. My first term was great. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We're doing even better now. We're doing much better now than we did even the first term. And I can tell you some of my views have changed. And
well, that's not true.
We had discussions on some things. I'm not going to discuss what they were, but that I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually, and some very liberal people. He won't surprise them because they already like him.
And Mr. Mamdani.
He's going to surprise some conservative people. He's going to surprise some conservative people. Word up.
It sounds like you had a productive discussion, but just days ago you referred to President Trump as a despot who betrayed the country. You said you would be his worst nightmare and accused him of having a fascist agenda. Are you planning to retract any of these remarks in order to improve your relationship?
I think both President Trump and I, we are very clear about our positions and our views, and what I really appreciate about the president is that the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers. And frankly, that is something that could transform the lives of the 8.5 million people who are currently struggling under a cost of living crisis, with 1 in 4 living in poverty. And the meeting came back again and again to what it could look like to lift those New Yorkers out of struggle and start to deliver them a city that they could do more than just struggle to afford it, but actually start to live in it.
And I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting.
He's making jokes. I mean, this, as surprising as this might be to, maybe a lot of people who want to see blood, they want to see blood, Cole. J. Cole's got so many quotables. And in the past year, they've been mostly in the wrong direction. But for people who thought this was going to mean he might go a different way, Trump has been someone who will go outside and say the worst possible things about someone. And it's part of an election cycle. I think he probably gets that. But he is also in a room right now, coming out of a conversation right now, with someone whose entire party was against him. And that's how Trump's political ascension began as well. The Republican foundation, the base Republican politician, was against Trump. And they did the same thing with Mamdani. So these are two sides of the same coin, and I think that's what we're watching right here.
Maybe, I think he'll change his mind after we get to working together. Yes, please.
Mr. President, from Hunte, Lebanon.
Good.
I would like to ask you a question about the Middle East regarding
Sure.
you said that Hezbollah in Lebanon is not in a good position. And Lebanon now is the final unresolved after Gaza and Syria. Given your assessment, like, what do you say for the Lebanese today? It's the independent state of Lebanon. And what is your next move to push toward disarmament?
Sure. Well, we are pushing for total disarmament of Hamas and, frankly, everybody else. And we actually have peace in the Middle East. As you know, the king of Saudi Arabia just left yesterday. We had some great meetings, and he's made a contribution toward the United States of more than $1 trillion. We have now over $20 trillion coming in. No country has ever had anything like that, not even close. If you go to $2 trillion.
I believe it when I see it. I don't trust him on his numbers. I don't trust him when it comes to the amount of investment he's getting from different places. Unless there's a shovel in the ground on something, I'm not sure it's real yet. Nor do I believe him on peace in the Middle East, because Israel is still bombing Palestine.
Tomato.
Trillion or $1 trillion, it's a lot. We have 20 or $21 trillion. I think that Hezbollah has been a problem in Lebanon, big problem. We're working with Lebanon. We're working with everybody in the Middle East. That's another thing I think we have in common. We want to see peace in the Middle East, and we actually have now for the first time peace in the Middle East after 3,000 years. And now we're going to refine it, and I think you're going to see some very positive things happen.
There is a potential to invite the Lebanese president.
Oh, sure. Oh, I would do that, absolutely. And if the mayor would like to be here for that meeting, because I know he feels very strongly. I think you feel very, very strongly about peace in the Middle East. I think
we desperately want it, and that's something that I shared with the president, that when I spoke to New Yorkers who had voted for the president last November on Hillside Avenue and Fordham Road, I asked them why. I heard again and again two major reasons. One was that they wanted an end to forever wars. They wanted an end to the taxpayer dollars we had funding violations of human rights, and they wanted to address the cost of living crisis. And I appreciated the chance to discuss both of those things.
He said a lot of my voters actually voted for him, and I'm okay with that. I'll do that. I'll sign it. Give it to me. I'll sign it in a minute. That's pretty good.
Mr. President,
Yeah, please.
you threatened to send federal troops to New York City. You both have differences when it comes to ICE agents in New York City. Mr. Mamdani, you call ICE a rogue government entity. I wonder how you reconcile your differences on both of those issues.
Well, I think we're going to work them out, and I think that if we have known murderers and known drug dealers and some very bad people, we want to get them out. And the mayor wants to have peace. We discussed this at great length, actually, maybe more than anything else. He wants to have a safe New York. Ultimately, a safe New York is going to be a great New York. If it's not safe, no matter how well we do with pricing and with anything else, we can talk about anything you want. If you don't have safe streets, it's not going to be a success. So we're going to work together. We're going to make sure that if there are horrible people there, we want to get them out. I think he wants to get them out maybe more than I do. So we'll work together. We discussed it at great length. Yes, please.
Yeah, two questions, if I may. One for you, Mr. President, from BBC in a second. But first of all, to the Mayor-elect. You're both, from different parts of the political perspective, you're both populists. I just wondered to what extent the President's campaign style, his techniques, his social media use inspired any part of your campaign.
Well, I actually told the president that, so much of the focus of our campaign has been on the cost of living crisis. And when we asked those New Yorkers who had voted for the president, when we saw an increase in his numbers in New York City, that came back to the same issue: cost of living, cost of living, cost of living. And they spoke about the cost of groceries, the cost of rent, the cost of Con Ed, the cost of childcare. And too often politicians are looking to lecture to New Yorkers what they should care about as opposed to listen. And when we spoke to those voters who voted for President Trump, we heard them speak about cost of living. We focused on that same cost of living, and that's where I am really looking forward to delivering for New Yorkers in partnership with the president on the affordability agenda.
I mean, he is a machine. He is a monster. And I love the way that he campaigns and the way that he handles situations like this, because he always brings it back to his message. He doesn't get lost in the conversation. He doesn't get confused by the framing of a question or a statement. He answers it and brings everything right back to his mission: affordability. I mean, I think he's probably the most naturally gifted politician that the blue team has had since Obama. I think that's fair to say. And he got Trump smitten out here. Trump is smitten. 1 second applause.
And I think we have to work a little bit. We talked about Con Edison. We have to work a little bit on getting the prices, because, we've gotten fuel prices way down, but it hasn't shown up in Con Edison. And we're going to have to talk to them. If we're sending them fuel at a much lower price than it was a year ago, which is true, we have to get Con Edison to start lowering the rates.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think that's a statement right there that we'll see how that goes. Because one thing that tends to happen when you have recessions that we've had, for example, in the past 5 years, right? When we had COVID, for example, or we had the Great Recession a few years ago, the tariffs that's happening now, when we had the supply chain the explosion, or crippling rather, I guess, during COVID, is that prices went up and they never really came down. And what Trump is saying there is that he, at least the way I'm taking this, he's framing this as, from a government standpoint, they have done the work necessary to help bring prices down. And so the backlog, or the prices are still up because the electric companies, in this case Con Ed, have not lowered the prices themselves. So if he means that, that is actually a dart right into how our current structure of capitalism is working, right? A lot of companies, what they'll do is they'll take whatever subsidies from the government, they'll take whatever tax breaks, whatever interest rates, whatever, right? And argue to have them lower and not pass those cost savings down to the customer. As it means in a lot of cases, just to keep their stock values high, right? That's generally how things go. I like what he said right there, because if he means that, I'm not sure if he means that. I'm not sure if we can really trust a lot of these things, but the fact that he said that is something that I think, is another opportunity for all of us to pay attention to see what happens in the future.
And if I may, last week you told me you were pushing ahead with your plans to sue BBC for up to $5 billion. You're going to speak to Prime Minister Starmer as well. Is there any progress or any updates on those issues?
Well, we get along very well with the Prime Minister. We made a deal with UK. I like him. He's a fine person. And, I think they have some big energy problems. They've got windmills all over the place. They're going to have to start using other methods because their energy is out of control. Talking about in the UK, it's out of control. And he's got that problem. He's got a big immigration problem, as you know, and he's got a big energy problem. And we talk about it. He's a good man. Prime Minister's a good man.
You had a chance to speak this week.
I haven't spoken this week.
Have you spoken to President Zelensky, or do you intend to
Who?
meet with President Zelensky about your plan? Did you meet with him?
I've spoken with their people. We have a plan. It's horrible what's happening. It's a war that should have never happened. It would have never happened if I was president, and it's a shame. And I thought they should have acted quicker. But it's a cold winter, and a lot of the you talk about utilities, but a lot of the big energy-producing plants have been under attack, to put it mildly, to put it nicely. We have a way of getting peace, or we think we have a way of getting peace. He's going to have to approve it. Just so sad. So many people. Last month they lost 25,000 soldiers. This is something we haven't seen anything like this since the Second World War. And they're averaging 6,000 or 7,000 a week between the two of them, dead soldiers, and it goes on and on. And I think they're getting reasonably close, but I don't want to predict. I would have said that would have been one of my early ones. I did 8 peace deals of countries, including India, Pakistan. You could even go, in fact, they're coming here in a week or two, go to the Congo and Rwanda. That was 10 million people dead, and we worked something out on that, but so many. And the one I thought would have been, for me, because I have a very good relationship with President Putin, I thought that would have been maybe quicker, but it does take 2 to tango. And now you just see all the death. And, it doesn't affect us other than the fact that we don't want to see all those people dead. Really, it's on the other side of the ocean. It's a war that should have never happened. It did happen. I blame the person also sitting right behind this desk. This is a war that should have never happened, and it wouldn't have happened if I were president. But we're trying to save a lot of lives. They're losing 25, think of that, 25,000 lives over the last short period of time. That's Ukrainian and Russian. And it's a shame.
What happens if President?
There was a report today that, we'll see how this plays out, but the report today is that Trump is trying to force Zelensky into a peace deal that would allow Russia to have the entire Donbass region, which is what they wanted from the beginning, and for the U.S. to drop sanctions, which is pretty much the deal they could have gotten in the beginning if the Western forces never got into it in the first place. They also, part of this prospective deal, would allow for, or would block Ukraine from ever joining NATO. So when he says that they would have never got into this war in the first place, he probably would just gave Russia everything that they wanted.
I want to ask the mayor-elect about a House resolution just passed overwhelmingly to condemn socialism, including with 86 Democrats, all of House Dem leadership, and the minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries, despite his endorsement of you. What's your reaction to that?
I have to be honest with you, I focus very little on resolutions. Frankly, I've been focusing...
Socialism.
I understand. I think the focus is on the work at hand. I can tell you I am someone who is a democratic socialist. I've been very open about that. And I know there might be differences about ideology, but the place of agreement is the work that needs to be done to make New York City affordable. That's what I look forward to.
And I want to clarify your answer to Stephen Nelson. He asked about your comment calling the president a fascist. And your answer was, both President Trump and I have been clear about our positions and our views. Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay. You can just say yes.
Okay.
That's okay. You could just say yes. Look at Trump's face. Look at Trump's face.
It's easier. It's easier than explaining it.
Then he said yes then. He said yes. Yeah, well, yeah. I did. 1 second applause. This is amazing. This is amazing. It's like Trump realizes that he has been surrounded by sycophants. He's been surrounded by yes men. Everybody is over here bootlicking just to get stuff that they want. He's watched so many people show that how much of a spine they did not have. He had Mitt Romney looking crazy over some frog soup. He's got Ted Cruz was going hard at him, and all of a sudden is bootlicking more than anyone else. This Ted Cruz's wife, and now got Ted Cruz under his thumb. He got little Marco, like everybody that he's around, really he's in full control of. And in this situation, here is someone else who has a populist base, who beat the establishment, saying what he wanted and found a way to the office. And Trump is defending him from this gaggle of news media who is trying to pit these two against each other by reminding Trump that Mamdani called him a fascist. And what does Trump do?
That's okay. You can just say yes.
Okay.
That's what Trump does. That's okay. You can just say yes. I like this. And it makes a lot of sense to me, too, right? I mean, like I talked about before, this is someone else who beat the system. And so I think Trump respects that. Interesting on that previous point where they were talking about how the House just passed a resolution against socialism, condemning socialism. And they tried to ask Mamdani what he thinks about that. He went back to New York City, as he always does. He stays on message. But they also mentioned that Hakeem Jeffries was one of 8 Democrats, I think, who also went along with this resolution passed by the House Republicans. And I just think all of this makes all of them look so weak, right? You've had Mamdani. Mamdani, I'm not sure if he ever got I think at the last second, from this courageous leader, Hakeem Jeffries, I think at the last second he got an endorsement from Mamdani, but Chuck Schumer never did. The Democratic establishment never endorsed Mamdani. Katie Hochul came in trying to save her campaign, save her career in office. But the mainstream Democratic establishment did not endorse him. They did not endorse Mamdani because he's a Democratic socialist. And both parties are part of, the neoliberal capitalist cabal. Right. Now he's got Trump outwardly supporting him, outwardly connecting with him, outwardly defending him against the media. And now all those guys in power in the blue team just look weak and out of touch even more, right? If there's a cynical spin on what we're watching right now, why would Trump do this? If there's a cynical spin on that, it is to weaken the rest of Democratic leadership and push this guy further to the front. I'm with it. I like it. 1 second applause.
It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
And Mr. President, I wanted to ask you also about this Ukraine plan.
Yeah.
President Zelensky said today that his country would risk either giving up a partner or giving up its dignity. There's been criticism that this deal...
You mean he doesn't like it?
It's unclear. He was sort of saying
he'll have to like it, and if he doesn't like it, then they should just keep fighting, I guess.
The suggestion that he made, though, was that if he doesn't accept it, that the U.S. would pull back its support for Ukraine.
Well, at some point he's going to have to accept something. He hasn't accepted. You remember right in the Oval Office not so long ago, I said, you don't have the cards. Don't forget, I inherited this war. This war never would have happened. I inherited this war, and I thought he should have made a deal a year ago, 2 years ago. The ultimate deal would have been if it never started. That would have been a good deal. That could have been done, too, if you had the right president, but you didn't have the right president.
Mr. President, cost of living is something that you and Mr. Mamdani seem to agree on.
Right.
Democrats have run New York City for a long time, Mr. Mamdani. Do you see Democrat policy specifically as being a problem? And I'd like that to be a question that both of you could answer in New York City.
Look, I think that there are many things in our city where we have to own the responsibility of it, things that existed long before the president was the president. And those are also part of the message of our campaign was to take on...
That was nice. Trump loves to deflect. Trump loves to blame everything on everybody else. Hey, I wasn't the president when that happened. Hey, well, you know what we inherited? That was nice. That was a nice tactical move right there, Mamdani. 1 second applause.
that existed long before the president was the president. And those are also part of the message of our campaign, was to take on a broken politics of the past. And I ran against a number of candidates who represented different versions of that past. And what we found time and again is that working people were left behind in the politics of our city. And what we're looking to do is put those people right back at the heart of our politics, so that we don't have a situation where we're in the wealthiest city in the history of the world, and yet 1 in 5 can't even afford $2.90 for a Metro card.
Mr. President.
You know, we had some interesting conversation, and some of his ideas really are the same ideas that I have. But a big thing.
Now he's drafting off of the Democratic Socialists. It's all happening.
On cost, you know, the new word is affordability. Another word is just groceries. You know, it's sort of an old-fashioned word, but it's very accurate. And they're coming down. They're coming down high. They were, you know, we had, both of us, we had the highest inflation in the history of our country the last 4 years under the Biden administration, and we've got inflation down now to a normal number. It's going to go even a little bit lower than that. Katie, do you have something?
Mr. President, thank you so much. Mr. Mamdani often talks about New York City being covered by international law, that they will follow international law. He doesn't often talk about the U.S. Constitution. What is your response to that?
Well, I don't know what you're referring to in terms of it could be covered by international law and local law. It's covered by a lot of laws, but it's covered by U.S. law. Are you referring to anything in particular?
He just says that they're a city that endorses and enforces international law. Is that at odds with?
No, I don't know. Would you want to? Would you want to respond?
Yeah, I think what I've shared with the president is our desire to not only follow the laws of our own city, laws that protect New Yorkers, but also a desire for consistency in our politics across the board. And that's something that we've talked about and something that I know many New Yorkers want.
We
discussed ICE and New York City, and I spoke about how the laws that we have in New York City allow for New York City government to speak to the federal administration for about 170 serious crimes. The concerns that many New Yorkers have are around the enforcement of immigration laws on New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs, and most recently we're talking about a mother and her 2 children, how this has very little to do with what that is.
What we did is we discussed crime. More than ICE per se, we discussed crime. And he doesn't want to see crime, and I don't want to see crime. And I have very little doubt that we're not going to get along on that issue. He wants to, and he said some things that were very interesting as to housing construction, and he wants to see houses go up. He wants to see a lot of houses created, a lot of apartments built, etc. And, you know, we actually, people would be shocked, but I want to see the same thing.
Mr. Mamdani, anti-Israel protesters.
Jack?
Mr. President, I want to know one of the policies as well that Mayor-elect Mamdani talked a number of times about on the campaign was shifting the tax burden for property taxes from what he called minority communities to white-based communities and putting more taxes on white people. I also noticed that in your acceptance speech you didn't mention anything about America or Christians.
Look at that. They looking like a buddy cop movie. Yo, Mamdani, man. Mamdani, I rock with this dude, man. He is more savvy than I think a lot of people gave him a lot of credit for. Let's hear how he answers this question, but look at Trump's face right now. He is giddy. He is giddy. And this one is right there at that Trump base. This is like, oh, white communities and immigrant communities. Listen to how Mamdani answered this. I know he's going to knock this out the park.
Or white people in general, and so I didn't know if that was one of the policies that you guys have spoken about.
We focused on affordability. We focused on the cost of living crisis. What I will say is that I am very much interested in property tax reform, because what we see right now in New York City is a system that is so inequitable that it can't even stand up in court. And the president and I spoke about the importance of not only building more housing, but also making sure that regulation of housing is something that is manageable to actually get through and not the cause of yet another weight that we see in our
city. But to be clear, you're continuing this idea of race-based property taxes.
No, to be very clear,
that's what you said.
No, the use of the term was a description of neighborhoods, not a description of intent.
So you intend to tax the whiter neighborhoods more?
No, we intend to create a fair property tax system because we want a New York City that is not only fair and equitable, but also one that every New Yorker can afford.
Look at Trump. Second applause. Yo, they tried to get him. They're trying to get him, and Trump's not helping. Trump's not helping. Oh, man, let's watch a little bit more here, then we'll come back.
Please, go ahead.
Mr. Mamdani, anti-Israel protesters just targeted a synagogue in New York. Are you concerned about Jewish New Yorkers feeling welcome and safe in the city? And President Trump, you threatened to cut off federal funding to New York City. What policies would prompt you to do that? Would that be city-run grocery stores? Would it be something else?
Well, I think if we didn't get along, whether it's cut off or just make it a little bit difficult or not give as much, we want to see, I use the term, we don't want good money going after bad. And we don't want that to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I did say that, subject to what policies are being said. We had a meeting today that actually surprised me. He wants to see no crime. He wants to see housing being built. He wants to see rents coming down, all things that I agree with. Now, we may disagree how we get there, the rent coming down. I think one of the things I really gleaned very very much today. He'd like to see him come down, ideally by building a lot of additional housing.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate way. He agrees with that, and so do I. But if I read the newspapers and the stories, I don't hear that. But I heard him say it today, and I think that's a very positive step. No, I don't expect. I expect to be helping him, not hurting him. A big help, because I want New York City to be great. Look, I love New York City. It's where I come from. I spent a lot of years there. Now I'm right here. We took a big setback with the mayor that we had, Dave de Blasio. I thought it was a tremendous setback for the city. I think this mayor can do some things that are going to be really great.
Mr. President,
Okay, how about you? Go ahead, please.
You're a billionaire. You've got a different address nowadays than you used to, but you used to call New York City home. Would you feel comfortable living in New York City under a Mamdani administration?
Yeah, I would. I really would, especially after the meeting. Absolutely.
What makes you comfortable?
We agree on a lot more than I would have thought. I think I want him to do a great job, and we'll help him do a great job. He may have different views, but in many ways, we were discussing when Bernie Sanders was out of the race, I picked up a lot of his votes, and people had no idea, because he was strong on not getting ripped off in trade and lots of the things that I've practiced and been very successful on. Tariffs, a lot of things. Bernie Sanders and I agreed on much more than people thought. And when he was put out of the race, I think quite unfairly, if you want to know the truth, many of the Bernie Sanders voters voted for me. And I felt very comfortable, frankly, in seeing that and saying that. And, it just turned out to be a statistical truth. But no, I feel very comfortable. I would feel very, very comfortable being in New York, and I think much more so after the meeting. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I mean, that's it. What more else is there to say? There's about 20 minutes left of this. I'll put a link in the description for you guys to watch the full version of this. But what we're seeing right now is a masterclass, an absolute masterclass from my man Mamdani. My man Mamdani. You know what I mean? He got Trump to say that he would feel comfortable living in New York City with a Democratic Socialist mayor. A Democratic Socialist mayor. I mean, what else would you put as the worst nightmare for the red team and anyone on the right who thought that going into this conversation, they were going to come out with a whole bunch of sound bites and quotables that they can use in the 2026 midterms. Trump didn't even give them that. That is powerful. Now, let's take a look at some of the reactions here. Here's Alex Cole. He says, this is the closest Mamdani has ever been to pork. But I don't know if that's really the story of this. I think the story is, look how Trump is looking at Mamdani. When Trump met Mamdani. 1 second, applause. Here's Yashar Ali. He says, someone said that sometimes Trump supporters understand Trump the least, and I'm beginning to understand that given the reaction to Mamdani meeting. Here's what Todd Starnes said in the beginning, before the meeting starts. He said, scenario, Mamdani enters the Oval Office today only to be greeted by Tom Horman, who then personally escorts the communists back to Uganda. And then later today, when this was happening, he says, I thought Mamdani was supposed to be a fascist dictator. What the heck is going on at the White House? They're struggling. Cope. 1 second, applause. There's power to the people says, if Mamdani and Trump can come together, then we the people can come together to defeat both of these corrupt parties that sell us out to their rich donors at every turn. Here's Mamdani right here on the plane. Look at this smile on his face. He looks like he's traveling commercial too, man. He's a savvy dude. He's like, yep, that went exactly as I planned. Exactly how I planned. Ron Filipowski says, Republicans crafted an entire midterm strategy around making Mamdani the face of the Democratic Party and portraying him as the most dangerous political figure in American history. Called him a jihadist, introduced a resolution in the House condemning socialism. All gone now. Look at this. This is somebody's screensaver on their phone right about now. 1 second, applause. What else do we have in here? There's Wu-Tang for the children. LMAO, gotta love that Mamdani didn't do the stupid thumbs up for the photo op. Everybody does that. They always give the little Trump thumbs up. It's like the Jay Prince finger gun. Next time I see Jay Prince, I'm gonna take a picture with him and do the finger gun next to him. 1 second, applause to Jay Prince. Let's see what we got here. Bill Madden says, effing incredible. Trump just guaranteed a Dem landslide in the midterm elections. The biggest boogeyman the Republicans has had been deemed a very rational person by Trump. Zohran Mamdani is the most talented and charismatic politician since Obama. Yeah, and I agree with that. 1 second, applause. This picture of Jared Moskowitz from defending executions to defending the Mamdani meeting in 24 hours. That is House Speaker Mike Johnson. MAGA grinder Mike Johnson. That's what we have here from this story today. I just wanted to share this with you and react to this conversation. I'm not sure if this necessarily signals a clearer path for collaboration across the aisle going forward. I do know that if we're looking since the Obama administration, the strongest politicians that the blue team has put up in front of the country, and in Mamdani's case, in front of New York City, have been the Democratic Socialists of America. It's been Bernie Sanders, it's been AOC, and now it's been Zohran Mamdani. I mean, these people are really fighting a wave with the policies that they are promoting, which are a detour from this unregulated capitalist system, pretty much, that we've been moving towards over the past 40 years. And I think that is where the blue team needs to put more energy. You know, I tell you guys all the time, I don't look at it as red team versus blue team. I look at it as us versus the Confederates. And I think that the blue team, when it comes to Bernie Sanders, AOC, and Mamdani, have found a way to galvanize and activate an audience that feels left out of this system, and they've done this consistently every time. So when I see Hakeem Jeffries, when I see Schumer, when I see all of these milquetoast, middle-of-the-road establishment blue team members out here talking about what the American people want, after putting all these issues that we really don't necessarily feel as tied to as they do, particularly on a foreign policy standpoint, when I see them waffle on healthcare, well, maybe we should just go with this exchange and keep the insurance companies in the loop. The DSA people are like Medicare for all. I think if they wanted to win, they would move in that direction. And I think they also know that. And I think they know that, which is why they don't do that. I think their donors and their supporters are some of the same ones that they have on the red team. And that's why most people feel excluded from this process. And I'm happy people like Mamdani, Bernie, and AOC continue to show and prove and fight the system. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section. My name is Justin Hunt. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow @The Man on everything, including the Company Man podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. It's all happening.
The mathematical breakdown of this mighty game of rap we in. It's boom bapping in. Systematical culture views us radical. It's all happening. Shaking hands and dabbing it. Life through the lens of hip hop, from trip hop to yes, dog. You don't stop. You don't stop. Justin Hunt is here. It's all happening. It's all happening. Yes, it's all happening. Justin Hunt is here. It's all happening. It's all happening. Yes, it's all happening.